Well, we have our first celebrity sighting of the weekend. Here's Jeffrey from Real Nifty Vintage.
Hello.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go. Something else I just got this week that's a little bit controversial. Black fellow with the lantern. It does not have wiring in it anymore, but it has grown some life of its own. Look at these little plants coming out of it. I think that's really cute. I decided to leave them there. This finally got to Florida from Kentucky where I bought it. It's an Art Nouveau mantle and for the little coal fireplaces, and then this is a different summer cover. The summer covers were put on just to keep the drafts out of the house in the summertime. What else is fresh merchandise that you folks haven't seen? Well, this here, I got two of these balance scales. The larger one I left in St. Pete, the smaller one I brought here. Another scale here. I'm really scale happy right now. This is a nice little hanging balance scale. Well, hanging, or you can screw the thing and give it a little stand, but it's portable in any event. Here's another one of these movie posters. I think I've got 3 left. The Sword and the Dragon in Vitamotion. Love that graphic. The largest cast used in any motion picture. Had to be a lot of extras because I don't think that was a high budget film when it came out in 1960. All right, well, we have our first celebrity sighting of the weekend. Here's Jeffrey from Real Nifty Vintage.
Hello.
And he is full on Flamingo because he is in Florida. He is not freezing up north. You all should be here. Uh-oh.
That was a nice...
Well, and that's something that happens in the wind too. So now you've gotten the full real effect of being at a show. I got to go clean that up. This rooster cookie jar, I don't know who made it. It doesn't have a mark. It looks like American from the late 40s, early 50s. I love the modernist rooster. Just thought that was fun. I got a collection of marbles, and I see 60s era cat's eyes and a bunch of the earlier ones. So I'm going to have to go back to the video I did from White Cloud, Kansas last summer, where the marble guy taught us all about marbles, and go through and see if I have anything really special in there. Speaking of special, I thought she was really sweet coming out of the flower bed there. I don't know who made this either. It doesn't have any markings. It's heavy like American pottery. It could be Morton's. All it has is stock numbers on the back and mold numbers. So your guess is as good as mine. This Flamingo wall pocket is something I just picked up also. I always try to bring new things to every show, or new to me. This is Empress, made in Japan, 1950s. You see the little holder there. Sometimes people would use these for scissors or implements as well. I bought this here at this show. This is another piece of Blanco from the early 60s. That was a Wayne Husted design. I paid $25. I think it's worth about $50. So this planter is American bisque, and we don't see a lot of flamingos by them. They did a different one that was more of a salmon color in the 1950s, a little more modernist, but this is 40s. You can see the hourglass glaze in the middle. That's an American bisque trait. I have people all the time say Royal Copley did that too, but I haven't seen anything that really looks quite the same to me. Wanted to show you this Chalet of Canada basket that I bought. Love those colors. This one's a 1960s piece because it's not etched Chalet on the bottom. The 70s ones do have the Chalet of Canada name. And of course they were a company that was led by Murano glassblowers who were brought by the government of Ontario to help people on the First Nations reservation who had a natural gas well find some way to utilize that. And so all the designs are Murano, even though they were made in Canada. And then this version of the Last Supper is by Goebel, who made Hummels. And there's the mark on the bottom from the painting by Leonardo da Vinci. These still sell in the $250 range. Quite elaborate and large. There's our neighbor Doug with all of the nautical and sea life again. And Norm has these tables full of interesting glass. They're the folks I actually bought that Blanco piece that you see from. All I did was walk it across the aisle. I got a couple of Treasure Craft pineapple handy trays today. Haven't had any of those for a long time. That's the peacock glaze from the mid-60s. The McCoy birds are new to me as well. Well, we haven't gotten together since Springfield, Ohio, but I am very happy to see you again, and I have a pair of Weller Lorbeet candlesticks, which are now going home with you, and I'm so happy.
To Illinois.
Illinois, that's great. And you said you have how many pieces of Roseville and Weller?
Roseville close to 500 and Weller over 2.
That's awesome. Well, this is a serious collector, folks.
So here is a piece that has a Murano look that was made in America, and this is Pilgrim Glass. See the little waffling in there? They used a tool to press in the pontil mark so it wouldn't be sharp. So the early Pilgrim has that little speckling, little divots there like you see in the pontil. That's a way to identify them because usually they had paper labels that are washed off. But they had a definite Murano aspect to them because the Sandins were brought by Pilgrim Glass's founder, Alfred Nobler, from Italy directly to Cerrito, West Virginia. That must have been some culture shock. This is Hull pottery, the little poodle there. And then these are Southern Railway glasses. I bought all 3 of these for $7 shortly after telling all of you when I saw them in another booth that I thought their price of $15 each was a good price. So I grabbed these immediately when I saw the 3 for $7.
Well, this is Jody on the right and Tanya on the left. You will notice the Superpower shirt. That is a Jocelyn Crazy Lamp Lady shirt. I think I need to get one myself. So I also brought some country things because we do get a lot of people from Georgia and North Florida and places where they decorate country. I have a few things that are fresh since the last show, including these lovely little setters, and aren't they cute? They're mailbox toppers, or they'd be on gates. And what else do we have? Ah, yes, this is part of a still, and it is most of it other than the coil. This came from Southern Ohio, and it is just a really neat thing that you don't see very often. I have it priced at $125, and someone said they're coming back to. I've been buying Fenton Custard glass because it glows, and we all like the way it looks. And this little piece I got for a reasonable enough price that it's going to this gentleman right here.
Yes.
It's Jeffrey's now, so you'll have to buy it from him on one of his live sales because it's going to look great.
Lucky you.
Yes. Well, this place has half off of their pictures and some other stuff today, so let's take a look and just see if we spot anything, just for fun. With The Queen's Gambit being such a popular movie, we are seeing a lot of interest in old checker and chess boards. There's Pinky, very famous. We see her with Blue Boy usually. This is half off. This is Randsburg pottery out of Indiana with the hand painting, and it would be $30 at half off, which is a pretty reasonable price. I have to say the original price they had on it was a little lofty. It doesn't have a signature on the bottom. Sometimes they are marked Randsburg.
Everything's going to be half the price this.
It was very popular in the late era of pattern glass to do patriotic and famous people on glass. Here we have Admiral Dewey. This is representing the battles in the Spanish-American War. Gridley, you may fire when ready. That was a famous slogan which had to do with the beginning of hostilities. Manila, May 1st, 1898. So it represents the Army, Admiral Dewey, and the Navy. And then you've got bullets and shells on the bottom here. So there was glass made in the pattern glass era that was intended to represent what was happening in current affairs and be patriotic. and is now of interest to historical collectors as opposed to just glass collectors looking for fancy things. That is remarkably well priced at only $22.50. And for just slightly more, $24.50 is this very pretty ice bucket when you see these open forms with the bail like this. This is elegant glass or depression glass, and I believe that this one is Fostoria. This dealer gets lots of nice things and they're very reasonable, especially on Sunday, so I'm going to do a little shopping as I look through here. I think a lot of folks recognize this, the Westmoreland with the 3 cats. This is an early one, and you see it still has some of its black paint. Only $8.50. Wow, a chicken plate for 50 cents. The prices are really great here. Of course, this is from about 1950, so maybe those prices are no longer valid. Really neat 7-Up display from an old cafe, and this is priced at $300. While they get open, they're letting me look in the case, so I'm going to take a look at a couple pieces of jewelry here. They have some nice things. They've got a bunch of pocket watches, and while they're not selling like they used to, I still like to have some. And this is really cool. Before the all-steel kitchens came in the 40s, this would have been a 1930 cabinet. You can see by the Art Deco detail in the middle there. It's still got the old porcelain work surface similar to a Hoosier or a Kitchen Queen, but they're starting to convert to built-in cabinetry in houses, so this is kind of a last effort to sell something similar to a Kitchen Queen that essentially is a wall of cabinets. I have not seen a bank of cabinets like this before, but let's see who the maker is, because I'm betting it might be Sellers, who did a lot of the Kitchen Queens. And yes, it is. There is the Sellers Elwood, Indiana label on it. That's pretty neat. You know, everybody, when styles and technology changes, tries to find some way to keep themselves going, and this is what Sellers did. I think it's really unusual. Here's the back of the Sellers cabinet, and you can see that it is 3 pieces, so it's kind of like a Kitchen Queen in that regard. The center is 1 piece and you've got 2 others. The date is 1935. Seafoam green oak, so it's basically a green wash over thin oak panel, and it is called Tempo Deluxe. And you know it's deluxe because they spelled it the fancy way without an E. I get a kick out of little novelty games, and look at the graphic on this one. It's the blonde in the bathtub mystery. My goodness. You can place blonde in the bathtub. Others cannot. She always pops out. So that's the mystery. Let's see what this actually looks like when we get her in there. Okay. So there's the blonde. And aha, yes, it is a magnet game. That's what I thought. And there's something going on. And I guess the trick is probably written in there, how you get her to stay in the bathtub, because she just wants to jump right out on me. So I guess I'm one of the others that cannot. Cigarette holders are popular with collectors, and here's another thing that is as well. These are cigar holders. Notice it's a little wider at the entry there. This one is marked, I believe it would have been Frank Rosenstiel of Berlin. It's bakelite in the amber color. This is going to date to about 1920. And it also has World's Fair marks, Paris 1900, St. Louis 1904, various places where they would have won awards for their work. And this one is priced at $15, which is a pretty typical price, but you usually don't see the little case that goes with it for that price. So that's kind of a nice extra. So while I'm thinking of it, please comment in the space below here, and also hit the thumbs up button to like this video. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button below. Also, hit the bell below to be notified of new videos coming every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for following along. Let's go back to this video. One thing you'll see at Mount Dora is repurposing, and I wanted to show these because this is a little more clever than some of what I've seen. Look at this old sleigh that they've turned into a table. And if you made that so that it hinged so that you could get the storage underneath there, that'd be a real bonus. Wouldn't that be great around Christmas? And then this is really cool, this old iron wheel. I like these because they've done some with workbenches, which is popular to do now, but they've done some other things too, and I think that it just, it's a little more innovative than some of what I see. This has been done for a few years now, so I think people are looking for stuff they haven't seen. And the prices on these, you know, they're not cheap, but they're custom made. They're all in the $500 to $1,500 range, it seems, depending on what you've got, but they're really neat. I thought they were worth showing. Now, some lighter collectors only want Zippo, and I have to say, to my mind, that's too bad because they miss out some pretty good lighters that have interesting graphics. This one says Mars. It is made in Japan. While they get open, they're letting me look in the case, so I'm going to take a look at a couple pieces of jewelry here. They have some nice things. They've got a bunch of pocket watches, and while they're not selling like they used to, I still like to have some. This one is jammed. It's too bad because it's got an attractive face with the red lettering on there. That's going to be mid-teens when you start to see some variation. This one with the Damascene, the Illinois watch, is very pretty as well. And people like these, the slanted numbers, it's just a neat look. And so people who are just buying these more to wear as jewelry tend to like this sort of thing. This one's priced at $100. And when you open the back of a watch, you can take a look at the movement and see important things. There's a little serial number next to the top wheel there, the top gear. And with that, you can go to the Shugart book. James Shugart wrote a book many years ago on watches, and you can date this right down to the year based on that serial number. It says Illinois Springfield Watch Company, and you can see the jewels in there, those little round spots that look like little red dots. Well, those are actually rubies. And the rubies had something to do with keeping the gearing running smoothly, and that's why they say jewels. And the more jewels, the better in a watch. This is a nice Elgin with an interesting face and the inner dial for the seconds. That's typically more desirable to people. This one's only $48.50. That seems like a nice price. They're neat to carry, they're neat to wear on a vest. People prefer wristwatches these days because they're easier to handle, but if you wear a pocket watch right, they actually can be very convenient, and it's a nice look. Now this is a nice Pave Art Deco pin, and it looks like it was made originally to be a doublet where it would come apart, but this one's been fused together, and it looks like it was done at the factory. Coro was one of the companies that made these, but it's a nice look, and I'm tempted by that one. So we'll set that aside. This is a pretty deep honey amber color, this set here. I have been noticing that bracelets and necklaces seem to be selling better than brooches currently, so I'm more inclined to look for them, although I like brooches, I have to admit. Nice curved face wristwatch here, a Bulova, but the face is a little aged. And then here's a nice filigree piece. This is going to be early Art Deco or late Edwardian jewelry. So about 1915 or 20. It's priced at $18.50. They're just pretty and delicate looking. I've always liked those. This would have been a cheap alternative, but a lot of the advertising lighters were Japanese because they were looking for a cheaper alternative. They didn't want to pay for a Zippo or a Ronson. Cute little primitive cabinet here. This is just a small one, about a foot tall. It's got a little backsplash and a step back. This is just something somebody made, maybe for a little kid as furniture or for a shaving mirror. How do I look? I think it's really neat. It's beaten up just in the right places. The knobs look like 19-teens, I would say, or 20s. It's priced at $50. A lot of people who like this sort of thing like it because they want something that's really one of a kind. And you can tell they just use whatever they had, boards with holes in it, little pieces of scrap wood. It's not even really level in here. But it's just great because, again, it's unique. And uniqueness is one thing that draws people to antiques and vintage, especially primitive and folk items. The thing I like in this space is this little table. It's a sterilizer table, so this would have likely been in a barber shop, possibly in a medical clinic as well. That's the sterilized drawer, and you're supposed to be able to see into it. And then you have a regular drawer. It's just a neat little size, and people like these because they can use them in their houses now. It's got its original tag, PLR, Chicago, New York. I'm not sure what this giant machine does, but I gotta tell you, it's probably the biggest, heaviest thing I've ever seen at an antique show. It's by Niagara, and it looks like it might be some sort of a lathe, but obviously an industrial lathe. Somebody out there who knows more about machine equipment than I can tell me, but it's dated 1949. This is a display of paintings and a ceramic piece by Peter Robert Kyle is actually his full name. He's a German artist. He has been shown in New York, Paris, Berlin, and London. A listed known artist, and a lot of these are older works. He's getting to the point in life where he's selling off a lot of what's left of his work because I don't think he's actively doing new things, and you see dates on these from the 1970s and 80s primarily. And yes, they have a Picasso-esque aspect to them. Very colorful. It seems that loose pieces are starting at about $125 and framed art is up from there. Obviously anything on canvas is going to be more expensive. He also has employed this style, which I think is lots of fun, where you paint over advertising or other printed material. This was done in 1972, and that was a popular style at the time. Just fun and something really different, and to have so much representation from one artist at an antique show is really rather unusual. Well, I made an offer on the little sterilizer table, and while they're checking on that, I'm going to show you this neat set of bakelite flatware with the cherry red handles. The cherry red is more popular. It used to be that these went for a lot more than the $50 they have on it. Looks like it's a set of 6 with teaspoons, tablespoons, forks, and then an extra serving knife and spoon. So, I might go home with that too. Well, let's see what we can find on all these tables, because they've just got a ton of stuff. This is kind of fun because the top is a shot glass. This is cranberry glass. And it looks like it's cranberry flash because the rings here are not cranberry. So this is a color that is on the glass rather than in the glass. Cute piece. And it's $22. Not bad at all. This glass piece here, people mistake this for Blanco's vineyard pattern, but Blanco was always oval in shape. This is a knockoff by another company from the same era. These folks liquidate estates, and you can tell because it's just a little of this and a little of that everywhere. This one's priced at $65 and mine's only $49, so I have a better price. That makes me happy. I learned a long time ago in this business. In fact, I'm going to turn the camera around on myself while I say this because I want you to know how important it is. Because I learned a long time ago from a woman named Jan Esterly, who's no longer with us, but she worked at the Pioneer Square Antique Mall in Seattle. And she told me, I've been a dealer for years, and I learned you better have the best one, the cheapest one, or the only one if you're in a mall, if you're in a show, or if you are selling online. So look for things that not everybody has. It's really tempting to get into this idea of, oh, they're selling this, I should sell it too, but that just means you're walking right into the middle of the competition. So look for things that are unique if you can. Me Too doesn't really necessarily make it in this business. You really want things that are unusual and unique if you can get them. All right, we have some inexpensive jewelry tables, which I'm sure I will come and spend a little time with, but I wanted to show you in the corner here. Joy came and introduced herself, and then her husband is here today, but this is Junk Farmers. They've moved to Florida recently from Colorado, And they have newer stuff as well. As you can see, a lot of metal art and decorative items, but then they've got the old Pegasus, and they've got this really great tricycle right in the middle. I thought this was really neat with the all metal wheels. And that one's only priced at $55. Taillights here, I think, are these from a 56 Mercury?
That's exactly what they are.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought I recognized them. They look like lighthouses. They always stuck out to me when I was a kid. This font is neat too. Where'd you get that?
That's a European park sink.
A European park sink. Okay, that makes sense. I've seen them in pictures. I haven't been to much of Europe, so.
That's what it is. It's got the mounting brackets and everything on it.
Oh, that is really cool.
It would mount right to a wall.
Yeah, that's nice actually. I could see where that could be kind of handy out in a shop or a shed or something, and it's neat looking too.
Sure, yeah, we're good for that.
And then here is reserved for outpatients. I think that's the best sign I've seen all day. And sometimes it applies. I might need it at my booth.
Come to Junk Farmers and we've got all kinds of stuff. My name's Eric.
Yeah, this is Eric. And where is Junk Farmers?
We're right here in Mount Dora, Florida now. And we also do shows in Colorado.
Oh, so you're still going to Colorado, but you actually have moved here to Mount Dora.
Yep, and if you go to Colorado, check out Old House Vintage Market.
Old House Vintage Market, where's that?
Yep, we're going to have them up in Loveland. And we're going to have 6 shows up there and maybe a holiday show.
Well, that is great because, yeah, I know.
Right at the Embassy Suites in Loveland.
Very cool. Yeah, Loveland's a great town and a pretty area, but I know that they've been kind of desperate for having shows there. I've got friends who are in that area and they said there hasn't been a show for a year, so I think everyone's pretty ready to go.
Exactly.
This looks like a real one.
Yeah, it's porcelain.
Yeah, porcelain, and it's chipped in the right places. That's cool. Well, after showing you these earlier, I found a couple that I'm going to get because I always like the old railway glasses, and they had 3 of these here, and I haven't had any for a while, so I'm happy to get those. These are popular again, and we usually see the one with the bird, but this one has something that looks more like a winged gargoyle at the base. They're folding fans. They were made of sheet brass. This is something from the 1960s. It's part of that Hollywood Regency style, and we see these priced around $100 nowadays. Then behind it we have a Formica table, only priced at $75 for the set. That seems really good because Formica is very hot right now. And look at the chairs. That's actually a really great deal. Again, I wish I had room in my truck. Now, I know not everybody is into clowns, but I've got to say this backdrop from a circus stage is so interesting and so huge and hand-painted. I don't know how you couldn't get excited about some aspect of that, even just for the color of it all. And then we have this old thing, these grabber type of toy things that you have in arcades or the front of grocery stores. I think of them as being 1970s and 80s, but this is obviously from the 1950s, and they basically have used an electrified toy crane, and that's how you would pick up the items. And then whatever you got in the hole, well, you won. So this is a pretty neat thing. I did not know that anything like this existed as far back as this. And then my friend Susan has this really fun mermaid table. Where other than Florida are you going to see a mermaid? And she's only $75. It would be fun to paint her. I know we talk about should you paint things. This has some fading. It has a few scratches on the surface. It is a candidate because also the finish is a little on the dull side, but what a great bunch of carving, and think of how you could make the features pop out, and it's only $75. If I had that skill, I would probably buy it from her and take my hand to it, but I don't have that skill, unfortunately. My friend Karen bought the last Gouda lamp that I had. It's the cute little table lamp here, and it worked like a charm when she got home. I was very happy. She's got a connection through an aunt to Gouda, and it's just great to see her get it. People ask me, how is it that you shop at a show and buy stuff? Aren't you afraid you won't be able to get it all home when you came with a full van to begin with? Well, here's the thing. I bought this table 15 minutes ago and it's already sold. I bought the orange Chalet vase yesterday. It's already sold. You can buy things in such a huge show and take them and put them in your space, and they look different, they display differently, different people see them. Whatever the reason, you can absolutely buy and sell things at the same show. I like to call it the turn and burn. And then we've got a fob here. She was bred in Old Kentucky. This is for the old Green River whiskey. It's fairly lightweight, so I think it's a later one, but it does talk about the various fairs where it won awards. Jamestown, Milan, Portland. That was the 1905 Lewis and Clark World's Fair. World's Fairs would give awards to all sorts of industrial products. And it says it's been used for the past 12 years by the U.S. Marine Hospital Service. Part of the reason they're promoting that is that they're trying to find reasons to keep producing, knowing that prohibition may happen soon, because there was starting to be a lot of talk of prohibition at that time. Well, this is my friend Jill, and she bought the Kyle pottery piece. What'd you pay for it?
$125.
$125, wow. I think that's a score. I think this is a real steal. This guy sells at Lincoln Road in Miami, and he's also known in Hollywood because he lives out there part of the year. He's a German artist. I showed this a little earlier in the video, and thank you. I am so excited that you got it. It's really cool. Jill collects really interesting and fun, I don't know how, modernist, tribal? I don't exactly know how to describe her taste, but it's...
Eclectic.
Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.